Our bill is still missing.
What? Still? How could that be?
Well, I guess we're stuck with my little bitty stuff.
I'm the king. Charles.
Okay, Lori, are you ready for the break, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
With and without the mask, just for our Zoom audience. Thank you. And Linton, do you have a song for us?
There is a bright golden age on the So,
Bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye. And it looks
like it's coming clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Go.
Thank you. Okay. John, do you have a thought for today?
Our thought for the day is that we need old friends to help us grow old. We need young friends, we need new friends to help us stay young. Now that I've been in the club 10 months, you guys are my new friends, becoming my old friends, and thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Okay, our greeter, Nick Randall. Surprise.
Hi, Nick. Welcome.
Welcome, Nick. I'm so glad to see you back here. Yes, you've been gone. What have you been up to?
Well, we have grandbabies on the other side of the country. We have grandbabies in New York State. So we were taking care of them, and they were taking care of us for 6 weeks. And it was sort of a semi-annual experience. Gives the parents a break, gives us a break from California. And it was wonderful. We went to the city a couple of times, saw a play, Come From Away. It's a play that nobody's ever heard of. It's really a very moving play. So look for it, Come From Away. And we had a wonderful time, lots of restaurants and good times.
Okay.
Good to be back, though.
It's good to have you back, Nick. Thank you. Oh, our mic runner. Got that. Gus, did you know you were our mic runner? Oh, okay. Well, you two can battle it out, okay?
We were the alternates for who originally had it. Dan Needham.
Oh, okay.
And so he reached out to me and reached out to Gus. And
well, you guys can work this one out, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
it's challenging, the breakfast time.
Okay. And the raffle and newsletter. I really want to thank Scott for that newsletter. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I only started, and Terry and Michael Fells finished it. So,
Great job.
thanks to them too.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the raffle for a second. If we're going to have the raffle, we got to buy raffle tickets. You'll see over on the table raffle tickets that look like this. You tear one of them off, you keep it, and you put the other one in the glass bowl. And then you will draw marbles, and whoever gets the red marble gets the money. Jerry is the keeper of the money. I don't know how much it is, but I'm sure it's quite a bit.
A lot of
money.
higher tickets than win it all.
And Diana got us some scratcher cards for consolation. So anyway, please support the raffle because it's fun.
And it
Right.
helps support our club.
And it helps support our club.
It really does. Thank you so much, Scott.
Okay.
And thank you for setup and take down. It's good to have Nick back. And of course, Michael McLaughlin and Bob Keyser, thank you so much. And remember, stay after to help break down. Thank you. And welcome to our guests and visitors.
I would like to introduce my host staff. Dave Holmes is here with me today.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Time to mute all. Okay, now I'm not seeing what I'm expecting to see here. I had a little video called Imagine. And my little, it isn't coming up at the moment. That is strange. I could do it at home. Of course, everything works fine at home. So.
See the video can show that, man.
Well, just imagine.
Well, just a moment. Can I escape from here? I'm going to try something here. This is not. Is this my mess up meeting?
Every meeting's a mess up meeting.
Oh, it is. It is. Hide. I need to hide that more. Okay, well, I will play that another time. I've been wanting to do that since the beginning of the year. And Michael, if you come up here, could you help me for just a second? I'm not sure if I should try to do this or not. I'm running lower on time. And say yes on it. So it looks like I can't do it this time. Well, it looks like it worked at home, but it didn't work here. So I will try this again another time. I did want to mention, I do have pins with our latest, from our our international president, Jennifer Jones, and it is on the theme Imagine. If you didn't get your little pin, please let me know. I've got them here, and I'll give them to you after the meeting. I think they're really neat. Anyway, thank you very much. And we have a basket to fill. We have to fill this basket for our district governor, which is Jennifer Strong. We have two Jennifers going on now. And she will be here in October, and we will be handing her a basket full of goodies from this area that she will take to the next club and auction off for the Rotary Foundation. So please, if you have anything that you think would fit well in our basket, bring it in and we will put it on. Thank you. Happy birthday. Well, John, I hope you're having a good time at your crush. Looks like you're probably a very busy fellow. And Janine Cook, what you doing?
Well, that's a good question. We wrote down a big list of about 20 things we can or should do, maybe for Janine's birthday. And we don't want to do any of them, so we're coming up with yet another option. I'll let you know after Monday. That's when we'll know for sure.
So it's a TBA, is it? Okay. All right, now, David, Sarah, what's going on?
I know nothing. Give it to Sarah.
Yeah, well, this is my host family I'm staying with now, and the host family I'm staying with the next time, so after November. And we met in Guerneville, which is where my next house will be, and had dinner and just got to know each other a little bit better, and I got to see where I will spend some more time. Yeah, it was really fun. Got some burgers, saw a little bit of Guerneville, which is very exciting.
And I have another one here. I see David and Susan in this one as well.
What?
What's this going on? David, you sent these on. You've got to explain yourself.
So, well, Sarah, this is your upcoming host sister, Jade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sarah has the good fortune of having two host sisters already. One, the Piper, who you're living with now, and then Jade is coming up. And there on the right is me, Susan, my older brother Greg, and my sister Jean. And they're wonderful people, but I want you to remember what Oscar Wilde said, which is, friends are your compensation for your family.
That's very clever. Thank you. And I received this from Joe and Marnie.
This was Tolle Park in Petaluma, my first time. I was there with Gus and Joe, and it was, I think it was 4 miles, 5 miles, 2 hours, and it was glorious, absolutely glorious. And of course, we got to bond and talk about all kinds of things, including Teslas and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, it was great, right, Gus?
It was great.
Where is Tolle Park? I don't know that one.
It's way on the southeast side of Petaluma.
Oh, let Gus tell us about it a little bit. I have a few extra minutes since I don't have my video.
Well, Dooley Lake is dried up already, and it's full of trophy and it's not a hard hike, but it's a lot of flats. You hit the hill, and then you can see 3 bridges when the weather is clear. Cardenas, Golden Gate, and Oakland Bridge.
So it's in Petaluma area or south of here?
Just south of it, just across from the Birkenstock building, you know.
Oh my!
It's over to the hillside. Lakeville Highway.
Okay. Oh, I know where that is. Okay.
Yeah. And it's been there maybe a couple of years now.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and they had a festival every year, but it was closed during the COVID. So it's just gonna open up again. It was nice.
Okay, well,
It's not
thank
too hilly, it's all straight, and it's, the footing is a little hard. It's got those big gaps in it, between in the soil, it's all dried up, the lake,
Has it been dry? Does it ever get water in it?
when it rains.
Oh, someday in the far distant future, not this year. Yeah, that's strange. Yeah.
No, it's different. All those houses are different, everyone is different.
Well, that's interesting. I'd be interested in seeing that. I had a different appointment, or I would have gone with you. I would let, I think these Monday morning hikes are great.
We'll go again, just you let us know when we're going to go and we'll go.
On a nice cool morning.
Right.
Right.
Now, you don't want to get out in the heat and it gets hot.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Great.
And yeah, something else that happened last night, I don't know if anybody else felt it, but my house was shaken. Yeah, that was weird. It's been a long time since I've been in an earthquake, and this wasn't a very big one, thank heaven. I understand when you get a small earthquake like that, a couple of them, it relieves the tension in the fault so we don't get the big one. Hopefully that'll keep happening. Okay, we have some things coming up. September 17th, the Rancho Cotati fundraiser here for the Ukraine refugee family. Gee, that's just around the corner, isn't it? And the Sebastopol Noon Club is having their picnic. We are invited. That's this Saturday also. And I did send out the email blast to everyone with this information. I can do it again just to make sure you know about it, but it's always a lot of fun, and there is an RSVP on that. So it will be, let's see, it looks like, where are we, 17th, from noon to 4, Saturday. All right, we have the main event coming up. Do we have someone who would like to speak to that one? Kathy?
You're on, babe. Okay. So we just want to do a real round robin real quick. First of all, I want to thank everybody that has taken a table of 10. Got one right here. Got one right here. Okay, so we have Nick, Brian Bauer, Purcell. We've got a few people that aren't in the club, and Weeks and Michael Fells. Thank you. And I'm doing a table of 10 for the very first time of any event. So, so I'm calling people and I'm amazed that they say yes. So just ask. And when I was signing up, Linda was turning in more tickets that she sold. She's not even doing a table and she sold 8 tickets. Well, that's what I asked her. I said, do those 8 people want to sit together and do the table of 10? So, and Bunch of Lunch, Michael McLaughlin, he's done several, Viva Mexico, El Tarasco, Mexico, Lindo, Casey Kitchen, Hipsess, Sonoma Bagel. 22 for $25 each. Oh, $50 each, my mistake. And then we've got Best of Forestville, and I won't say who provided that. But we've got La Rosa Market for $100, Farmhouse $300, Kennedy Roadhouse $100 and $300, Nightingale Bread $50. So that's really cool. If you want to contribute anything, you could do a gift card or go to a restaurant. You can talk to me or Michael Cook about the restaurants we're hitting up for date night, okay? So the live auction items, let's not forget that we have really cool ones. We have Michael Fells that provided Sorrento. Go online and read it. Sardinia, I always say Sorrento. But Sardinia, I think I even wrote that down somewhere too. It's this really cute little town, and you can walk day or night, and they don't have crime, and they say you feel safe the whole time. And they say, I read it, Must be true. And, but it wasn't on Facebook. And you can go to Pompeii. That's like your day trips. So like you can stay at this house and like keep visiting. They say you can look at Pompeii forever. So now I'm just gonna start doing a round robin. We do need volunteers. We only have 2 chefs so far. So Michael's gonna share about the chef positions. And let's start with Terry for live auction. You'll get it.
Let's go, Jerry.
Terry?
One second. Somebody gave me a check for $250 today from Catherine Foster. Who is that?
Way to go.
That's all.
So we've got another ticket sale. Yay.
Of course I want to go first. What kind of question is that? So I'm doing the silent auction. People have been bringing stuff in, thank you very much. Michael brought me something today that sparked a brain cell. He brought a puzzle, and so I'm thinking a nice basket might be game basket. So if any of you have games in your house that look pretty new, or you want to go buy a copy of your favorite game, like I have one in my shed that I bought at a secondhand store called Holy Crap. So that's gonna go in that basket. I have never played it, but it looked like it was something that might be fun for my stupid group of friends. Not you guys. So bring me your gently used items or regifting things. I've got a Le Creuset. Yeah, Le Creuset thing my daughter gave me that's brand new in the box. It's going on the silent auction, and I'll combine that with stuff. And the task that I gave everybody a couple of weeks ago was go to your favorite restaurant, ask for a gift certificate, or give them $50 to get $100 one, because that'll help Michael too. And if his date night is full, it'll go on the silent auction. So hustle, hustle, hustle. I need to get all that stuff in by like the last week of September. Okay, here you go.
Yay! Hey! Hey, Terry, tell us about Maine.
Maine? Oh, the state. We have a great auction item that's coming to our auction. We've traded an annual item we get from Jim Glum, through Jim Glum, a place called the Cumbria House, which is a B&B in the West County Hills. So they've donated that to us, and we're trading it to Rotary Club in Maine. And the trade is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, I think, don't quote me on that, home on Bailey Island, Maine. And what I did is I Google Earth it, and it's a beautiful spot. It's close to the water. They have a saltwater pool in the backyard, no fences. Imagine that, you can just go get in the pool. And it's a beautiful spot. So lobster, swimming, hiking, seeing other sites. It's just a really special item. So that combined with the Sardinia, those are probably 2 of the best items we've had in our auction in quite some time. But what that means, and I know Michael will talk more about this, is we need people who are willing to spend a little money, come to the auction and come to the event and get them involved. But it's pretty exciting. That's it. Who's next?
And our chef is going to talk about food and cooking.
I was thinking ceviche.
So personnel is going to be a big issue. This is a big event for us to put on, and everybody needs to be on deck for it. So volunteer often, volunteer for a couple of shifts. I want to talk for a moment about the cooking and how that's actually going to happen. We're going to be making the lobster pots out on the deck at the Art Center. And we have to make 20 lobster pots. That's the bad news. The good news is it only takes about 35 minutes to do one of these pots. So even though we're all going to be having dinner, some of us can also do the cooking. The event opens at 5:30, and there's going to be an hour of silent auction and open bar going on in the Little Red Hen Room. And then at roughly 6:30, we will go to dinner. So at roughly 5:45, the chefs will begin preparing the meal. And essentially the way it works is every 3 minutes, a different ingredient goes into the pot and gets stirred up, cover goes back on, wait another 3 minutes, you dump another ingredient into the pot. It takes about 30 minutes in total to cook the lobster pot. So we'll cook the lobster pot, we're gonna pull the lobster pot out of the water. We have some sticks that will go across the top of the pot to drain the pot. We'll drain the pot for about 4 minutes, and then we're gonna walk in and dump them on the table. It's just that simple. And at the moment that happens, your job as a cook is done. You sit down and you eat with everybody else.
But your job as a cashier is not done.
But your job as a cashier is not done, exactly. But, you know, it's not a big deal. It'll be fun. And I think that, you know, as a cook, bringing the lobster that you've made to your own table and dumping it on will be kind of a special treat for you. So everybody please sign up for that. Beyond that, ticket sales money, we need to get that money in. So I know you're all out there selling tickets, and I really appreciate it. But get the money in and keep track of who you sold the tickets to, because we'd like to be able to create the auction pamphlet with bidder numbers on them assigned to people before they get there. That'll speed up the whole process for checking in. So as you're turning in your ticket money, also give Jerry the names of the people that you sold the tickets to, and only turn your money into Jerry. That way, go ahead.
For those who are buying tables, we would really appreciate if you would get the names of the people sitting with you to me soon, another week or so, because we like to assign tables, put them where they're going to be, put a table name on it. So it just helps us organize it good. Without that, what happens is people are going to swarm all the tables in front where we want the sponsors to go on the table sponsors. So if you give me the table names of people coming with you, we'll get the table assigned. It just makes life a lot easier for check in and check out process.
Well, this looks like it's really going to be a great event. We have to move on now, but this is just terrific. What is that?
You buy a table, you get 10 tickets?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so very much.
And we have
This
a
is
meeting
terrific.
today at 5:30 for the lobster feed. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to move rather quickly through this. We only have a couple of minutes. I don't want to get into Rod's time. We do have 9:24, the Ukrainian Family Fund concert.
Flyers are in the back.
And announcements, I'm going to move on. And I will send this list to you via email so you can see everything that's happening. Things are coming up fast. There's a lot to do in the district and with our club. And we're moving on. Next week, we have Peter Holberg for climate restoration. And this week, our own Rod McCauley. Thank you very much, Rod.
Thank you, Diana. 21 years ago, Mary and I moved to Sebastopol. We first rented a little apartment across from Mike's Park on Willow, and then bought a house over on off Robinson Road. Some of you have been to. We came here because I had been called to be the rector at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. I've been an ordained priest at that point for 2 years. Before that, for 30 years, I've been a lawyer. And so people always kind of roll their eyes and they say, why the hell did you do that? So in 2010, I retired. I was 66 years old then. And I've been at the parish for about 9-10 years. And had a good tour. And one of the things I hadn't done was explain to my non-church going friends, which I had many of, some from junior high school, and to my family members who maybe had gone to churches in their youth, but were totally sort of mystified. And so I sat down, and for 6 years, I wrote this book. And the cover is one of the priest's stoles. I have a set of stoles, which signify your ordination. And this photo was taken by our own Jerry Meshel. He came over to the house and got up on a ladder. We laid this out on the floor, and it became a cover of the book. So I'm grateful to Jerry for that. The book is what I said. It was an effort to explain to people closest to me what I was doing and why. Because they were either too embarrassed or afraid to ask. They probably thought I was going to turn around and scold them or something for not being Episcopalians. Anyway, the book is my effort for people close to me to see me, to know me. We all have a hunger to be seen and to be known, to be loved. And so this was an effort to open the door. Also, in my years of involvement in the Episcopal Church, I chaired a commission that reviewed people who thought they wanted to be ordained. It was a commission on ministry, they called it. And with others, we meet with people who were trying to discern whether they should become a deacon or a priest. And I thought this book will be useful to them. It's not a memoir per se. It does talk about my life, but it's not a memoir. It's more an explanation of what the Christian faith is for me and how I understand it and where I fit in a very broad spectrum. So I'll read you a few passages, just to give you a taste. This is from the introduction. Why would anyone voluntarily choose to be ordained as a cleric? However they are titled priest, pastor, minister. For many observers, the choice brings into question their sanity and their motivation. The negatives to a career as a cleric are legion. The popular public perception of religious leaders is anything but positive. Just consider the characters portrayed in the cynical media, wimpy, pasty-faced types, evangelical demagogues, whipping up nativist fears, or mendacious predators, abusing vulnerable children, or seducing women or men who are unwittingly caught in their web. At best, they are depicted as ineffective naïfs, trapped within their delusions and sentimental fantasies. If this negative cynicism of a radically secular culture wouldn't put one off the idea of ordination, then the excessive expectations of church congregations should. Candidates for parish priest positions are desired to be learned in theology, biblical literature, sacred music, liturgies, and church history, skilled as preacher, teacher, counselor, and comforter, competent as an administrator, supervisor, and organizer of a nonprofit institution, and not least, an emotionally mature, non-anxious presence with a healthy personal life. It is frequently joked that walking on water would also be included in the list of expectations. So the book talks first about my childhood and how I was raised, and significant factor was I was raised close to the church. My father was a Presbyterian minister. And when people would ask me, oh, they looked down at me, Roddy, you're going to be like your dad and go to work in the church? And inside my body would just rebel, this huge no welling up. And I carried that no for a long time. I dodged off to law school. Anyway, I covered those years growing up. And then I move on to kind of explain what the faith and what the church is for me, and specifically the Episcopal Church. So I have a chapter, in one chapter, I covered 2,000 years of church history, which was a feat, trying to explain why it is so fractured. And then I have another chapter, the chapter after that, I go at that from a different angle. And I talk about the three charisms in Christian expression. And I'll get back to that. But the church basically was never a unitary, monolithic thing. From the very, very get-go, after the resurrection of Jesus, the disciples gathered in rooms and they argued. And they struggled. And different communities started to spring up around the Eastern Mediterranean, and each one drew on different resources. There was no Bible at that time. There were no established rituals. So over those early years, they struggled to find some unity. About 1,000 years out, around the year 1000, there was a major fracture when the Christians in the Eastern Mediterranean split from the Christians in Rome. And you end up with the Orthodox Church, the Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Syrian Orthodox, the Coptics in Egypt on the east side, and the Roman Catholic Church in the west of the Mediterranean in Europe. And then in 500 years after that is what we call the Protestant Reformation. And so I talk about that. And here's one of the things I said about that. This is Martin Luther, who was a Roman Catholic priest, setting down his complaints. What the Reformation unleashed, however, was not merely another cleanup of institutional corruption. It reached deeper, seeking to reestablish a more direct experience of God for common people in their daily lives. The Catholic Church not only struggled with political corruption, it had established itself as the sole intermediary between a believer and the divine. The barriers included making the meanings of Scripture and liturgy included masking the meaning of Scriptures and liturgy by the exclusive use of Latin, incomprehensible to the semi-literate public. The abuse of the assumed authority in pronouncing forgiveness of sin and extract various forms of penance in exchange, the power to exclude individuals from reception of the sacraments, the assumption of full authority over marriage, the annulment of marriage, the legitimation of heirs, the rules of inheritance, and the grand physical structures of church buildings emphasized the majesty of the institution and the insignificance of the individual member. The multiple levels of authority, reaching from the parish priest through bishops, archbishops, cardinals, and pope, put a poor peasant at a far distance from the mercy of his or her Creator. The Protestant Reformation, more than anything else, was a struggle to reestablish intimacy between the individual no matter how humble and the divine. So Christianity, as we see it in the United States, around here, is deeply shaped by this Protestant Reformation. And the fragmented church we see around the Methodists across the way, and my Episcopalians up the road, and the community church, which comes out of the congregational New England Puritan heritage, all have their roots back in the Protestant Reformation. And not to mention St. Sebastian's on Covert Lane, which is our local Catholic church. I go at this from a different angle, talking about three charisms. Over 20 years as a priest, I frequently puzzled over why certain individuals came to church or remained in church, and I began to discern basic characteristics that fell into three categories. I suspect that sociologists and marketing psychologists may have identified these distinctions before I ever pursued the question, but I slowly evolved the understanding from my own experience. I present it here as discerned from the perspective of a parish priest and not a social scientist. It is a particular taxonomy of the Christian church, a process of sorting and classification. Hopefully it will provide a useful explanation beyond historical development discussed in the preceding chapter. For those readers observing the church from a distance to understand the broad spectrum of variations among churches, and more to the point, what has drawn one into the Anglican tradition. My perceptions are grounded in an appreciation that people come to their religious life from diverse directions based upon their unique needs, expectations, and life experiences. When an individual steps into a church or temple, they bring with them their personal configuration of assumptions, suspicions, anxieties, and hopes. This is no surprise. More significantly, what I've discerned is that these motivations sort into three overlapping streams of expression of religious life. They are forms of piety I call charisms. These three charisms help explain the tensions between formal religious denominations and within single religious traditions. For example, between Orthodox and Reformed Jews, Sufi or Shiite Muslims, or Catholic and Protestant Christians. And importantly for me, as a priest serving a parish, these alternate streams often explain tensions between individuals within the congregation. I label the three charisms: tribal totemic faith, intellectual faith, and feeling-based faith. They relate respectively to the gut, the head, and the heart, and they each have their own ecology. So, almost every church has some of these three in it, in their life and in their ecology. But most kind of overemphasize one. The Pentecostals are big on emotion. Revival meetings, they're talking to the heart. The Catholic Church is encrusted with traditions and symbols, and that hits the gut. That says, what tribe do I belong to? And the Calvinists, Presbyterians, and Congregationalists, it's all up in the head. It's an intellectual exercise, sometimes just seems to be totally devoid of any feeling or passion. So I talk about all of those. Other chapters I talk about the critical question of what Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say that I am? And the answer to that question is different for almost everyone. But it is the essential question for anyone who wants to be part of it, who wants to be a Christian. Who do you say that Jesus is? And I quote the poet Christian Weiner, who's a superb poet. And he wrote, Christianity itself is this, temporal, relative, to some extent. To every age, Christ dies anew and is resurrected within the imagination of man. This is why he could be a paragon of rationality for 18th century England, a heroic figure of the imagination for the Romantics, an exemplar of existential courage for writers like Paul Tillich and Rudolf Bultmann. One truth, then, is that Christ is always being remade in the image of man, which means that his reality is always being deformed to fit human needs, or what humans perceive to be their needs. A deeper truth, though, one that Scripture suggests when it speaks of the eternal Word being made specific flesh, is that there is no permutation of humanity in which Christ is not present. So I explore that, and for me, Christ didn't come to show us what God was. Christ came here to show us what it meant to be fully human. And to have and the difference between me and Jesus, any of us and Jesus, or the way Jesus is distinguished from us, is that his soul is totally open and free. And I believe our soul is where we connect to the divine, where we connect to the web of life, where we connect to one another, where love flows. And most of our souls, I'd say all of our souls, are crippled. They're twisted, they're closed off to some degree. And the challenge is to open our souls to that flow, that current of love and life. And Jesus had a soul that was totally open, and he could see us, he could love us in ways that we struggle to do. I also have a chapter on scripture, sacred scriptures, and rituals, and the role that they play in communicating to us and how people read the Bible. And we all see the diversity in people's use of the Bible. You can get most anywhere, justify most anything, beautiful or horrible, by drawing on biblical texts. The Bible, in short, the whole thing, is an exploration of the struggle of humans to connect to the divine, and the divine reaching towards the human. Each book in the Bible, one way or another, engages that challenge. I have a chapter on what it means to be a clergy person in the church. And of course, given the diversity within the whole spectrum of Christianity, the expectations of a clergy person are wildly different. And everything from TV evangelist to a Catholic nun in the jungle trying to run a hospital. So I look at that and what I think makes a good priest and what a priest should be. And I talk following that on how that relates to a healthy church. And in the end, I closed I cannot begin to imagine in this time of volatile changes in technology, communication, and social interaction, what the impact will be on the institutions of the church, or the Rotary Club for that matter. From the deployment of artificial intelligence to quantum algorithms, who can guess what changes will evolve in human communities? I do have faith that the human hunger to find one's place in the web of life, to receive and give love, to create and thrive in creation, to find the joy of intimacy, the deep knowing of one another will prevail. Hope springs eternal. The church can and should be the vessel that carries this hope, and the clergy can and should be the humble stewards of that vessel. And then finally, I had a quote from one of my other favorite poets, Irishman John O'Donohue. And this would make my father twist. I'm quoting a Catholic Irishman. He was a Scot Presbyterian. But O'Donohue speaks to me. He says, the soul needs love as urgently as the body needs air. In the warmth of love, the soul can be itself. All the possibilities of your human destiny are asleep in your soul. You are here to realize and honor these possibilities. When love comes into your life, unrecognized dimensions of your destiny awaken and blossom and grow. So I've got a few copies. And for you, I'll give you I'll sell them to you at Kindle price, which is $10. Any questions? Linda?
Thank you, Reverend Rod. Jim and I were fortunate enough to go to your last sermon at St. Stephen's, and you talk about the humble, the people. You really spoke to us. You took something away from that sermon that we probably mention at least once a week, and you coined the phrase God's imagination. And we see God's imagination every day, and we say those words and think of you. So you've touched a lot of people, and thank you for your service to our community that way. That's not crass. I've been looking forward to the steps of the. That's terrific. And
Rod, come on back. I keep forgetting your cup. Here you go. Thank you very much. Yes, that was terrific. Okay, well, where are we? Gotta move on. The drawing. Do we have a drawing, Scott?
Ready?
Okay.
First of all, thanks a lot for everybody buying tickets. Very nice. And the winner is 3505. Right here.
Hey, the winner, fantastic. See if you can get that red marble and win the pot.
Laura's moving your hand. Don't that one. That one.
No, it's all right.
Oh, okay.
There is no God.
Great, thank you. Oh, he sure does. Can you hand that to him for me? Thank you. Ah, Marty Webb, you have a joke for us.
No camel jokes today. I have several little small ones. What do kids play when their mom is using the phone? Board games. What do you call an ant who fights crime? A vigilante.
Oh.
Why are snails so slow? Because they're carrying a house on their back. What's the smartest insect? A spelling bee. What does a storm cloud wear under his raincoat? Thunderwear. What is loud, fast, and crunchy? A rocket chip.
Thank you. That's great, okay. Oh, uh-oh, where's that little bill? Ah, here we are. Trails to you, until we meet again. Happy trails to you, keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you, till we meet again. And remember about our basket we need to fill.